Hello and welcome to Tales from the Backlog. My name is Steve Boshear and I will be your GM for the evening. If you've never watched this channel before, we have two weekly streams here. This is the Monday night stream where we have a rotating cast of players trying out a rotating collection of tabletop RPGs. This week we are doing Index Card RPG by the great Runehammer, aka Hankerin Fernale, aka, if you watched him a really long time ago like me, Drunkens and Dragons. So this is a game with a big following that I have never played before. So we are going to try it out tonight. Our second stream on this channel is our Friday night stream, which is a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition campaign played mostly in person, usually in person. And yeah, we are going to be hitting episode 84 of that this week. So come back and check that out. Today's game, as I mentioned, is called Index Card RPG. We're going to be using the Master Edition rules. I don't know how different they are from previous editions. I am made to understand not super a lot, but, you know, I'll never know because I only have this one. So we're going to be using, there's a couple of different settings for this game. There's sort of a high fantasy, classical, you know, elves and dwarves type setting called Alfheim, and there's also like a science fantasy outer space setting called Warp Shell. We're going to be playing in Warp Shell tonight, and we'll get a little bit more into what all that means. But before we do, why don't we get some introductions from our players, starting with Mia.
Hello, Mia. I'll be playing Shrosk, a reptoid from Planet X, as a mechanic, and one of the few variety of life forms that will be on the Warp Shell. But my collective, or the reptoid species, has I have left them because they are on a mission to basically destroy the galaxy, and I don't want any part of that. I am now seeking to stop their nefarious plans. Thank you, Steve, for having me.
I'm Jason. I'm playing Gunfighter. I am the ship's cat. And by the ship's cat, I mean it's my ship. Everything on this ship is mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. All of this is mine. I'm an Echo, which is a quantum result of time distortion. Exactly. That's exactly what I am. Meow.
And for purposes of anyone who has the game we're playing tonight, you are a cat because you are a reskinned kit.
Well, yeah, I took the kit like baseline and just but my character is a cat.
An actual.
I named him after my cat.
An actual cat.
That's perfect.
Okay. Hi, Lisa.
Good. It just had to happen.
My name is Lisa, also known as the Dungeon Matron. I will be playing Alienate, who is a Zill navigator. He has been kicked off of his planet because, well, he's desperate for love and is a little too anxious to get it.
All right. Alienate is using male pronouns, I take it.
Male pronouns, yes.
How about our other two? I didn't catch it.
Yeah, he, him.
All right.
He, him's fine.
Okay. Bunch of dudes. All right. So, this game, for those who aren't familiar, I know everyone here has thoroughly studied the material, but perhaps for our viewers, there's...
yeah, you should go over it for the viewers.
I should go over it for the viewer. There's a couple of cool little mechanics here that I want to call out. The first is the target number. If you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons or other similar games, you often roll a check against a number. In this game, the thing is streamlined so that each encounter or room or scenario that you're in has a static target that you roll against for everything. I can modify that as the GM by calling a roll easy or hard, which will add or subtract 3 to your target. But it's it's displayed right here on the screen for everyone to see. I currently have an 11 up there. That's where we're going to start tonight. And as we move from room to room throughout the gameplay, I may change that number. Another mechanic that we are going to be using, which where did I put it? A timer. So anytime something is going to happen in a certain number of rounds, you're going to see that little logo with the D4, and every time it gets back to me, I'm going to change that number down 1 until at the end. It's going to go off. Sorry, I got distracted by a message in the chat. But yeah, so that's how the timer works, and it can be used for any number of things. We're going to have one pretty early in the game here, so you're going to learn about it then. And then one last thing to call out now, because I did make a little piece of visual aid for it, is the hero coin. If one of you does something that I think is pretty cool, I'm going to give you a hero coin. I'm going to give one to Mia right now. There's your hero coin. And as long as that's on your screen, you can spend it to re-roll any dice or to add an ultimate die to your effort, which is just adding a d12 to any effort dice you're already rolling. So I'll try and give those out liberally since we're just doing a one shot. And yeah. So we have a lizard, a cat, and some sort of liquid metal guy. That's the crew. So a warp shell, in addition to being the name of the setting, a warp shell is a type of starship, really a sentient life form and a starship combined. Think Farscape with Moya, or I want to say Andromeda, because Andromeda could communicate verbally with the crew, and warp shells cannot. But there's you've seen science fiction before, you know how it works. Sentient starship, you guys are in it. The thing about warp shells is that they tend to choose their own crews, but as I mentioned a second ago, cannot verbally communicate with the crew. So you're a little bit at the warp shell's mercy. You're guessing what's going to be happening, because in addition to the lack of communication, only the warp shell itself can choose your next destination, and it has some sort of sense that will draw it to universe shaking events, major catastrophes, and crucial points in time and space. You jump from one to the next, and this is how it works when you're on a warp shell, which you guys find yourself on. The text of the game likes to imply that you just woke up here for the first time. We're not going to start our session with that because it is a one shot, and I don't want to spend time with you guys all like, what's going on? Who are you? We'll assume you guys have already met each other. This may be your second jump. And yes, we got DM Scotty in the chat. Hello, Scotty, welcome. So yes, you guys wake up from your little cryo sleep that you do when the ship jumps to subspace. Your warp shell appears in a silent instant, drifting in the shadow of a dead reptoid supercruiser. Whoever wants to do a scan of it will immediately recognize this ship as the Red Sword, a notorious pirate vessel. Beyond the ship, a dying star bleeds weird, coiling vapors into the abyss. And a low hum of dread fills your ears. So I have the target number up. I'm actually going to lower that number for now because we're just getting started here. It's going to be a 10. And I am also going to put up our first visual aid of the night. If I can remember where I put everything. Here we go. There's the ship that you have encountered. So is there anything you would like to do, Shrosk? We are also going to be taking turns going clockwise. So Shrosk, you're up first. What would you like to do?
Ah, yes, my fellow crew members, this is the Red Sword, a reptoid ship of pirates. Beware if we encounter any, for their sharp claws cut deep. I shall try and scan for any life forms aboard.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not super familiar with your skills or abilities as players. If you have something that applies specifically for scanning, use it. Otherwise, roll an intelligence check.
I rolled a 7 on the dice plus my base, so a 10.
10, that's the number on the screen. So you have
Like,
you have successfully scanned.
Successfully squeaked by.
Yeah. I mean, I probably shouldn't have even made you roll for that, but you do detect life signs on the ship. They are distorted and weird. They're not showing up the way that they normally should. And because of that, it's hard to nail down how many. But there are life signs on the ship. The star itself doesn't match anything in the database.
The life form scan is coming back odd. There's a strange energy signature emitting from the star, preventing a firm lock on any life forms.
Gunfighter, you're up next. Anything you'd like to do at this point?
Gunfighter is going to strut around. I'm assuming we're in the cockpit type area of the warp shell.
If that's where you would like to be, sure.
Yeah, he's gonna strut around a little bit, stretch, like rub on stuff, and then curl up in a chair.
I hope you were all paying close attention.
Yes, that was all very important.
And alienate.
Okay. So alienate says, "Oh wow, that's like so hot. Yeah, I guess we gotta check out where we are." And he goes and checks the nav settings and sees where in space they're located.
The nav settings do not say. They are very confused and they're actually being distorted. Roll me an intelligence check to see if you can figure out why.
Rolling a d20, is that correct?
Correct. And adding your intelligence modifier if you have one against the 10.
17.
Okay, so it doesn't take you hardly any time at all to realize that your navigational sensors are out of whack for the same reason everything else around this area seems to be distorted and weird. It's this star. It is a dark star, which is something that Shrosk will have heard of because the reptoids recently have captured one of these things. They are known throughout the galaxy to be pure evil. These things are darkness in solar form, and they have incredible deadly powers. Reality warping effects abound around them, and alienate, as you try to figure all of this out, you also realize that your warp shell cannot leave here because of the distortion provided by this dark star.
Whoa, that's totally not sexy. Hey, Shrock. You kind of know about your own people, right? And they're totally cool, and like I would totally date one. But I just want to know if you know what they're going to do with this thing.
I cannot say, Alien 8. My people have been seeking these dark stars to cause havoc and destruction. Apparently, these pirates found this and have become trapped in its energy field as we have. We must find a way to escape.
Yeah, Shrosk. Oh, sorry. Finish what you were saying.
There may be a clue on their ship as how to escape.
Yeah, Shrosk, one thing that you know about the Red Sword and Reptoid pirates in general is that they tend to be opposed to the currently ruling faction of Reptoids, which are the militaristic ones that have harnessed the power of a Dark Star, not this one, another one, to try and conquer and destroy. These pirates were likely not trying to capture this star, or at least not on behalf of the current Reptoid government.
Yes, we may find allies on their ship. Should we open communications? At least try.
Communications are unresponsive.
Lovely. It looks as if we'll be taking a spacewalk.
There is a perfectly good docking port on the ship. Gunfighter. Let's move on to Gunfighter. What have you to do today, Mr. Overlord?
Stretching. So I have an ability called Blip that when I move, I don't pass through the space between locations.
Right.
Can I blip over to that ship?
No, because your movement speed is still the same as everyone else's. So you'd have to, you guys would have to be over to the ship. And also, I don't believe your ability includes an ability to pass through solid objects.
It literally just says you don't pass through the space between locations.
Yeah, and I did not I actually read it, and I did not anticipate that you would try to use it to hop through walls.
I literally took it so that I could try to hop through walls.
In that case, I'll allow you to do so, but the speed at which your character moves is still going to be near or far. Yeah. So you guys would have to basically dock or get right up against where you would dock in order to do that.
Okay. Well, then I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to yawn and wait for stuff to happen.
Okay. Alienate.
Okay, well, looks like we got to get on that ship. So I'm totally going to guide as well as I can the ship and dock it onto that, totally get them into the groove and in a real special, romantic situation.
Okay. I'll interpret that as docking. And, so you guys now find yourself docked with the ship. You all head down there. and you know, your warp shell at this point is largely not responding normally. It's starting to become difficult to control or operate it in any way, thanks to the negative energy pulsing out of this dark star. So you guys feel you have no choice but to board this other ship and see what's going on there. The first place you find yourself is the docking bay. Let me mark it. There you go. That's the room that you're in. The cruiser from this vantage point seems largely undamaged but without power. The hatch as you board grinds open loudly, and as soon as you step into the docking bay of the Red Sword, a solar flare hits, which is going to it's going to cause you some damage if you fail a dex. So I'm going to do the first one right now, and I actually rolled in advance of the game for the timer. There's going to be another one in 4 rounds. So everyone please roll a dex check, and we're in a new room, so I'm actually going to up that target number from 10 to 11. I'll do that right now.
14 total.
Five total.
Okay.
With my +4 from my dex.
Ooh, ouch.
Ouch.
Lisa, what's yours?
6.
Okay, so Gunfighter and Alienate, you guys are each going to take a point of damage. However, as you do so, you learn something, you realize something, you feel it in your bodies, and Shrusk, you do as well. When you arrived here, you had some sort of extra blessing bestowed upon you by your warp shell as you entered this space. And all of you have an extra heart. It's temporary. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't heal it back in any way. But you basically get 10 free hit points. A heart is 10 hit points. So Alienate and Gunfighter, you just lost one of those 10. But Shrusk, you've still got it.
All right.
So we're in the docking bay now?
You are in the docking bay. There is a sealed door.
Is the door locked?
It is not locked, but it is jammed. It's going to require a strength test to open that door.
Okay, I have a like a pick hammer. I don't know if I could like use that to pry in there and get a bonus on that to crank it open.
Yeah, I'll let you use that as sort of a pry bar. So roll strength. And with that tool, where'd it go? It's like it becomes a D6, I think, instead of a D4 if you hit. So go ahead and roll strength against the 11, and then if you hit that, then we will roll effort.
I rolled a 10 total.
Okay, so you do not make any progress against this door. Gunfighter, you're up.
So I'm just gonna like rub on a bunch of stuff. Like what all is in this docking bay?
There's some EVA suits. There's just a window. You know what? I'm gonna let you find something else. Why don't you roll a D20? See what else you come across.
Okay. I mean, I've got something I want to do, but
Sure. I've got a fun little table of things for you to find on this ship. You find a book. It looks like an ancient reptoid book. It's covered in glyphs. It's handwritten, and it has drawings of an evil sphere and portents of cosmic doom.
I batted that a little bit. Is it like up on something?
Oh, definitely. It's sitting on top of something, which is why you found it.
Well, yeah, I knock it off.
Okay, good job.
Yep.
So
And
Shrosk
then I'm
and
going
Alien
to-
8C, you knock a book off.
Yep. Well, no, that's not what I want. Like, that's not what I was planning to do with my turn, though.
I'm
So what I actually want to do with my turn proper is I'm going to make my way over to the docking bay door, or whatever the door that leads further into the ship.
Yep.
And I'm going to rub on it a bit, rub on it a little bit more, make sure anyone who comes by here knows this is mine. And then I would like to use my blip ability combined with my pocket door ability to walk through the door and leave a passage behind for my compatriots.
Fantastic. So Alienate and
So
Shrosk.
it'll only be up for this round.
Yep, you guys got to go right away. Alienate, are you going to move with Gunfighter?
I saw him push the book off the table.
You did, yeah.
Okay. Before he walks over to the door to start rubbing on it,
Yeah.
I go and pick up the book, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, is this like hentai or something? Or this is all reptilian. And I hand it over to Shrock. Is that your name? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I hand it to Shrock, and I'm like, this is totally boring. And then I follow the cat.
All right. Timer is not 43. That's way too high. Your timer is now 3. 3 rounds till the next solar flare. Shrosk.
I stuff that book in my bag and follow through. Would I be familiar with the layout? I mean, of course, I would know maybe since we approach the ship, turn left to go towards the bridge.
You would like to go to the bridge, you said?
Yes, to access any like data centers that I can get any information from.
Sure. There's another door there. In this corridor that you guys are in, Scotty, Dark Star Nomicon, he says. In this corridor that you're in, it's just this giant, empty, I mean, really big, like cavernous, echoey corridor. But there are these 2 doors, one forward, one aft. You, of course, you go towards the forward one in order to try and reach the bridge. It's really hot in here, and the air is stale. No beach ball aliens. Shrosk, as you are heading towards that bridge door, you notice claw marks gouged into a floor panel. Really big claw marks. Bigger than any race you are familiar with.
Those are unusual, pointing them out to the others like, I can't imagine they would have such a large creature on their ship. Keep your eyes and ears open. No.
So are you opening that door then?
With caution?
Okay, it opens fairly easily, no check required, and you see another section of corridor. However, you also see this thing. This is a mutated reptoid. It is twisted and enraged by the energy from this dark star. It looks frenzied and predatory. And it's definitely gonna come at you. So it is now going to be Gunfighter's turn. What's up, bud?
Well, my hackles are all up. I'm puffing up as big as I can get. Just lots of hissing. Like this thing's still in that next corridor, right?
Yes. Yes, but the door being open, the little, the sort of like little bottlenecks between rooms, we're gonna, for all intents and purposes, pretend those don't exist. The door is just a door to the next room.
I would like to attempt to blip behind it as it charges at us. I'm going to dash forward and just not pass through the space where it is and then be behind it.
Great. That is what I imagined you doing with that ability. All right, so you have done so. You are behind it. That's your movement. Would you like to do anything further? This mutant reptoid is going towards Shrosk at the moment. It didn't pay any attention to the cat.
You know, I feel like I'm going to take a little bit of offense to that. If it's not paying attention to me at all.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leap onto its back, I'm going to attempt to, from my position behind it, leap onto its back and claw at it with my karambit blades.
How does a cat do that?
So did you watch any of, so the way I see these, did you watch any of the newest, like the CG He-Man that Netflix put out a few months back?
No, I have not gotten to it yet.
Okay, like basically imagine I've got like cool, like extra claws.
Copy that. Also, we did discuss My Little Pony rules for using paws to pick things up, so I guess that's also a way to do it.
I'm not thinking of it as like I'm holding a knife so much as I'm using the stats of these knives because they were the first ones I saw, and I didn't notice the other ones at the bottom of the previous page, as just like he's got like some, I mean, basically like enhanced claws.
Okay, yep, do it. So you're taking an attack.
Yes. What am I rolling?
You're rolling on the 11 with, I guess, for the weapon, is that strength or dex?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I should probably know that.
I think it would be strength as a melee weapon.
But
yeah, we should both probably know that. Yeah, just Mia said something. What did you say? It should be strength, you think?
I believe strength, since it is a melee attack.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll go with that for now until we find something that says otherwise.
All right. Boom. What do we got? A whole lot of nothing. Got a 5.
You got a 5. Yeah, that is indeed a whole lot of nothing. So you take
I hiss and whoosh, and just, I guess, sail past it.
Yeah, you take a swipe at him. You're behind him, I imagine, since you already blipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his motion running forwards towards Shrosk, he's just out of your range by the time you go to attack him.
Okay.
So, alienate.
Okay. So, I see this thing and, ew, that thing is like totally gross. It's just no, I'd make out with that thing. And I pull out my psionic knives and use my jump pack to move twice my turn so that I am like running at it as fast as possible, and I'm just
Cool.
going to slash as I go.
Great. Roll on that 11.
That would be a 16.
That's a hit. So with your weapon, wait, you're using the psionic knives. They're an energy weapon.
That's correct.
So I think you're rolling a D8 in that case for
Okay.
effort.
Ah, no, no. Oh, geez. Okay. Well.
I'm sorry, magic and energy is D10.
Oh, good, because I just dropped it, so I can use a different dice. And then energy. I think don't I have a? Oh, that's just energy and magic is. I have a 1, but that's loot. But I add that to the roll. Is that correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a 6.
That's a 6. All right. So you slash at this thing with your psionic knives, shooting forward with your, what's it called? A jetpack?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you cut into him deep, even as he's trying to get to Shrosk. At this time, the countdown timer is dropping again. And this thing is going to take its turn. It is no longer heading towards Shrosk, having been grievously wounded by Alienate. It is instead going to swipe at you with its claws. Definitely hits with a 16 roll. And you are going to take magical damage from the claws. In the amount of 5.
Ouch.
Indeed, ouch. It will then turn and move towards Shrosk again. And as it does so, you see these guys. You see that it's rushing up onto the side wall of the corridor in order to keep moving. It seems to be able to move across any surface. Shrosk, your turn.
Seeing the imminent threat, I will fire my blaster at it.
Very well.
Jiminy. Okay, well, that's not going to hit.
No?
I aimed where it was as it leaped onto the wall and missed. Lovely.
Well, you know, things happen. It's outer space. What do you expect? Gunfighter, you're up.
Yeah, I think I'm just... This thing's like well in front of me. It's engaged with Alienate and Shrosk. I'm gonna check out this door leading to the end of this corridor way.
Okay.
What's up with this door?
It looks just like the other two you guys have already gone through. It is closed. It doesn't look particularly hard to open. The first door from the docking bay to the main corridor was kind of stuck. The second one wasn't. This one looks like it's also going to be fairly easy to open.
Yeah, I'm gonna, with a little effort, I guess, hop up and try and beat boop whatever I can to get it open.
Okay. There's no power on the ship. So this might be something you can't do in a cat body.
Okay.
Because you'd have to physically grab the door and move it.
Yeah, okay. Well, then, if that's the deal, then can I just walk through the door? Can I just blip through the door?
Indeed you can. Let me show you what's through there.
All kinds of horrors. There's a toilet.
Okay, so I'm not the best with a pen, But that is meant to be the captain's chair. It's the bridge.
Oh, I know.
Well, it's got a built-in toilet because of those long missions, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it's supposed to be like a nice chair with a console in front of it, is what I was trying to draw.
No,
I
I understood your picture. I was just being silly.
Yeah. So in the bridge, I'll just describe it very quickly, and if you guys manage to kill this mutant, we'll come back to it more. It's like a galleon-style helm. You can't really see much else in here because as soon as you blip through the door, the place is... The first thing you notice, other than the general shape of the room, is that the place is crawling with more mutant reptoids, all of which are on the ceiling.
Ooh. Ooh, I should try and be stealthy then.
Sure. Give me give me a roll to try and hide before they see you.
Yeah, I would use Dex for that?
Yes.
Okay, at least it's something I'm supposedly good at.
And this will be your last roll at an 11, because entering this room is going to up that difficulty.
All right, well, with my 4 Dex, that is going to be a 21.
Okay, so you blip through, and these creatures, not having seen or heard the door open, just don't see you. You are easily able to get behind a console and hide from their view. Or I guess under a console, because they're on the ceiling and you're a cat. So the thing to do would be to get under a console.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that happens. Your difficulty is now 12. Alienate, you are up.
You're welcome.
Okay. Rinse and repeat. Alienate's going to attack it with the psionic knives again.
Do it.
Oh, that would be a 4.
That is not a hit.
No, it is not.
So now the countdown timer counts down. Did you want to move or do anything else other than the attack?
Where is Shrosk right now?
I believe Shrosk is still kind of around the doorway between the 2 corridor sections. Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have an opportunity to move in.
Okay, so I'm going to move opposite of Shrosk on the other side of the creature, at a distance, and I'm going to say, let's bombard it from both sides.
Okay. So the yelling and fighting sounds have not gone unheard inside the bridge. I'm going to roll to see how many of those guys there are.
Oh my god.
Fall back. Fall back.
There are 3 of them in
I
there.
was going to ask on my next turn, but...
There are 3 of them. They open the door, and they all come spewing out into the corridor, completely unaware that they're leaving one of your number behind them on the bridge. They use their full turn to move as far as you alienate, meaning they cannot attack you this turn because they were too far away. But now they're at you.
Okay.
Shrosk, you're up.
Seeing the stampede of ugly coming down the hallway, I will try and finish off the one we've already injured.
Great.
Jeez, come on. Oh, there we go. So we're up to 12 now. Gosh. That is an 11 total.
Oh no.
Okay.
Just short.
You are. Which reminds me, I wanted to I wanted to give out some hero coins, and there's one I should have done already. Gunfighter. Both for knocking the book off the counter, and for successfully hiding from the monsters in the bridge that you definitely shouldn't have gone into. Here's your hero point.
My hero coin.
Your hero coin. Yes, whatever. Point coin, there it is. Yeah. So, Shrosk, you've missed your attack. Anything else you'd like to do?
Seeing the threat come, just fall back into the next corridor.
I'm going to remind Shrosk that he has a hero coin.
And I don't have one, actually. Just
Gunfighter has one. However, I gave it to Gunfighter because I was thinking about doing so earlier. However, I will say this. You are allowed to give your hero coin to another player at any time, which would allow them a reroll.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead. What? I was just saying I fell back into the next corridor to try and like draw him into a single line of fire through that corridor hallway.
Yep. All right, Gunfighter, you're up.
Well, yeah, the bridge is. I'm going to give a stealthy look around the bridge. Is the bridge empty now?
Yeah, it is. You see, the nav. One thing that you can see easily by looking around is that the nav systems on the bridge here are set for the core of the Dark Star. This ship is set to. Someone just needs to punch it, and it's going into the center of that Dark Star. Yeah, and then roll me a wisdom on the 12.
Ooh. Okay. 50-50. Let's see what we got. 17.
Okay. So with that, you successfully notice at the doorway, at the entrance between the bridge and the main corridor, there are explosive devices worked in. A micro-explosive meant to sever the bridge from the main corridor bulkhead.
But the stuff I just saw on their nav systems would be sending the whole ship in there.
Correct. You saw enough of this ship from outside to know that the engines are way at the back.
Yeah,
Without the rest of the ship, the bridge don't go.
Yeah. But they've set the bridge to separate from the rest of the ship.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to do? That'll be your action for this.
I think that's my turn.
Okay.
I don't want to go anywhere near these goopy mutiny guys.
But you've got your Karambit claws. Alienate, what's up?
But I can't use them very well. What is...
Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally turned off your coin. I meant to leave that on. Lisa?
Yes. Okay. So Alienate is going to. Okay. Well, let me first ask: are all the mutants in the room with me?
Yes, they're in the same section of corridor that you're in. There's one in front of you that's the injured one, and then the 3 more came from the bridge behind you.
Okay. And there's a door between them and the impression I had was that this was a separate room, not just a corridor.
It's like a big section of corridor, basically a separate room. There's a door. It's like a fire door in a hallway where it closes part of the hallway from another hallway.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do is use my jump pack again and plow past these guys, grabbing Shrosk on the way. And as soon as I get past that fire door, I'm turning around and I'm slamming it shut.
So you would like to go into the aft, back towards the docking bay, into that first section of corridor. That's what you would like to do? Because that's the direction Shrosk is from you. In the beginning of the fight, you were in here. I'm gonna blink it so you can see what I'm talking about.
Okay, sure.
That was where you were first, and then you opened the door to here. You saw the first mutant reptoid, and you used your jetpack to come at him. So since then, you've been in this section. Shrosk is in the doorway between the two sections.
Oh.
Well, I thought Shrosk had moved into the lower section because
that's right. Shrosk already backed up. Shrosk already.
Yeah, they want to use that door as a choke point for the mutant reptoids.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was my thought.
That was what I'd understood as well.
Okay, so if you want to move towards Shrosk, then you only need to move past the one that's already hurt. The other three are behind you.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correct, does that put us? So this is the bridge. So that puts us further away from the bridge.
Yes.
Okay. I misunderstood where she was then. I'm going to, in that case, I'm just going to use my psionic knives and try to take out the injured one.
Copy that. Roll on the 12.
13.
All right, you got him.
All right. 9 damage.
You slice his head completely off of his neck. It's actually kind of weird. His blood doesn't behave the way you think it should because of the psionic energy that slices him. It affects things differently than a real blade. And so the blood just kind of splatters in every direction at once instead of going the one direction. But he collapses to the ground. He's gone. There are still 3 more completely uninjured behind you. Yeah. That was an action for your attack. Do you want to do a movement now?
Yeah, I'm gonna move to Shrosk's side.
Okay, so now it's the 2 of you side by side, facing forward towards the other 3 reptoids. And at this time, the countdown timer is hitting 0. So everyone please make a dex check.
Fail.
21.
Sweet.
18.
Okay, so this time is the opposite of last time. This solar flare hits, and you know, these solar flares, they're not just heat. There's like this weird, evil, dark energy in them coming from the dark star, and it's harming you in ways other than just heat. It's like ripping at your soul. Gunfighter and Alienate, you are able to avoid the worst of it, but Shrosk, you take a point of damage, and the new countdown timer is at 2. I have just rolled a 2 for that. So 2 more rounds, it's going to happen again. And now, 3 reptoids are coming for you. Alienate, you just moved away from them. You look very good to them. You are what they had their eye on, so they are coming for you. First one making his attack is not going to hit you. Second one is definitely going to hit you. I'm going to roll damage. It is 3 damage as he swipes at you with his weird mutated ragged blade claws. And the third one also hits you for 4 more damage. They're just going to town. Yeah, hurts to be you right now.
Sure does.
Yeah, what is
like...
your...
Sorry. They're pressed into that door, reaching through at her.
Yeah.
At alienate. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're crowded through it like. Yeah, that's your turn, Shrosk.
I was going to try and actually toss a grenade into that room and close the door, but no chance of that now. Okay.
I would let you do that with a strength check to push them back first. It would be a hard strength check, so it would be +3 to the target.
I'm gonna have to give it a try.
Okay.
With yes, no.
All right, so you run up and you try to shove them, but there's just too many of them. They're too big and strong. It isn't going to happen. What will you do next?
Well, since I've got my hands on them and I'm trying to push and shove and I can't quite move them, I'm just going to go and rake at one of them with my claw weapon.
Go for it.
Oh, finally a hit! Yay! Okay.
All right.
For 3 points of damage.
Okay. Okay. So you have harmed, I'm just calling them 1, 2, and 3 for ease of tracking their hit points. You have harmed number 1 for 3 points of damage. Gunfighter, you're up.
Yeah. So I'm kind of confused.
Yeah.
So there's no power on this ship.
There is some sort of auxiliary power lighting up the consoles on the bridge, but there's not enough power to open and close doors automatically.
Okay, and there is life support.
You don't know if life support is actually functioning. The air is very stale, as I described when you first got in the docking bay. So, in all likelihood, you guys are just breathing residual air that would run out at some point.
Okay. Well, I would like to actually try and help my friends or, my people. I want to look around the bridge and see if there's somewhere I can find like a comms interface.
Yes.
So what I want to do is I want to try and either get into or access the comms interface with the inner ship comms and try to distract the mutant reptoids back a little further into that corridor behind them.
Okay, so closer to you and further from your friends.
Yeah.
You got it.
I want to try and make go meow 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 and have it come from different speakers in that corridor.
Yeah, I understand. Let's have this be. Yeah, this is gonna just be an intelligence check, and it's going to take effort. So if you get this successfully, it's gonna be more than one round to pull this off, because you'd need, unless you want to spend your hero coin on it, you'll have to hit the 12 with an intelligence check, and if you hit that, then you have to get. It's going to be 1 heart of effort to try and make this happen, because you're doing complex engineering skills with cat paws, but ignoring the cat paws, trying to isolate individual speakers in a hurry is what you're trying to do.
Okay, well, I was honestly planning on spending my hero coin on this because I really want it to succeed.
Great.
So don't mind me scrolling back up to doing blah blah blah. Okay. Yeah, I want to try and I want to spend my hero coin on this, either to give me that D12 bonus to the die roll, or just if that's what I need, if I just need to spend it to make it so I can do this now.
So what you can spend your hero coin on is a reroll of the dice. So have you rolled to hit the 12 already?
No, it also says that I can turn in my hero coin to add a D12 to any die roll.
Wait, maybe I misremembered that, but I thought it was
On
to add a D12 to any
18.
effort.
It just says D12 onto any die roll on page 18.
Great. Then by all means. Oh yeah, I misremembered that. I thought it was only you could add a D12 to effort rolls. So, yeah.
Okay. So I really want to make this happen.
Well, I will say you can spend it after the initial roll if you want to. If the initial roll is enough, you don't want to waste it.
So am I trying to hit that 12?
Yes.
Cool. And is it meet or beat?
It's meet or beat, either one.
Okay, then I would not spend that hero coin because I rolled a 12.
Great. So you might want to hit that. You might want to spend the hero coin now because you're rolling a 1d4 for effort and you need 10.
Okay. I understand what's going on now.
Yeah, effort is essentially
now I want
like
to spend the hero coin. And we've got, are you fucking kidding me? 16.
16. All right. You pull this off no problem. And Alienate and Shrusk, you start hearing, and as part of this distraction technique, you make these speakers much, much louder than your real cat voice. So you two others start hearing this impossibly loud cat mewing from various random points moving around the corridor behind the reptoids. Yeah, good job. And what that's going to do is it's going to distract them. They're not going to move away from you guys, but they are looking behind themselves, distracted, wondering where the noise is coming from, and it's going to make attack rolls on them easy for the next round. So that's going to be -3. Alienate, you're up.
Okay. I am going to pull out my blaster and just shoot it.
Yeah. All right. Are you aiming for the one that was already hurt or a different one?
No, he's already dead. I cut his head off.
Yeah, but one of the others is hurt.
You're right. Yes, I am aiming for that one.
Great.
That's a 6.
That does not hit.
I know.
Even with the reduced difficulty, of course, it does not hit.
No.
Anything else for your turn? You can move if you wish.
Can I use an ability?
Which ability?
Infiltrate. I want to go invisible.
Yeah, I think so. Does that require your action? Because
I become invisible by winning a wisdom roll and not being detected for the entire encounter.
Okay, go ahead and do the wisdom roll.
Okay. That is a 14.
Great. They don't see you.
Cool.
All right. We're down to one more round before that next solar flare. The 3 remaining reptoids are very confused about the disappearance of Alienate, but that doesn't slow them down. They're going for Shrusk instead. Actually, one of them is not. One of them's going to turn back into the corridor and look for the cat, but the injured one and another one are going to stay and attack Shrusk. Yeah. One of them hits.
So yeah, I've got a 12 defense. So yeah.
5 damage.
Expect so, right?
But however, that hit was a crit. So it's going to do an extra 12 on top of the 5.
Holy crap.
Oh my god!
I maxed out.
Okay, Shrosk is now lying on the floor with just 2 hit points left.
And the other Reptoid is going to try and hit you and misses. Just barely. You're falling to your knees as you've been struck by the first one, causes the second one to miss you. Yeah.
Okay, well, as I clutch my side with one free hand, and I'm trying to like scooch back with my feet pushing along the floor, I will try and shoot my blaster again at whichever one is closest.
Okay.
Like, oh, we file beast, die. Oh, shit. Pardon me. I try not to swear on your streams, but that's a complete miss.
I don't try that. All right.
I tried desperately. that was so bad. I rolled a 3 on the dice.
Oh, boy. Gunfighter. I said that it was going to be 1 round of easy attack rolls on these Reptoids. So your turn makes it this being your turn makes it the last time that it will be easy. So if you wish to attack, you only have to hit a 9 right now.
Okay, yeah, hey. Let's try and attack that. I'm going to leap out of the shadows of the bridge and try to claw at the one Reptoid that had broken off from attacking Shrosk.
Great.
Let's see how bad this goes. Ooh, 15.
That's a hit. All right.
All right. So this counts as like a weapon, right? Because
you're using the karambits.
Claws,
yeah.
So that's a D6.
That's correct.
Okay.
Unless it's like energy or something, then it goes up. But...
So I get I've got a +2 with weapons and tools.
Awesome.
Fuck off. 3.
You guys.
I did 3 damage.
Okay. Hey, that's the same thing that Shrosk did that one time. Okay. 3 damage to that one. So, and the other, of the 3, one of them is still at full. So that is a movement and an attack. Yeah. Alienate, your turn.
Okay. So I just want to clarify. I read the infiltrator information, but what it says is I become invisible when in my wisdom roll and will not be detected at any point for the entire encounter.
Yeah. So that will last through this combat.
Okay, so I can still take attacks and be invisible.
That's how I read it.
That's what I understood as well. Okay. So I'm going to be coming up behind these guys and shanking them in the spine with my psionic knives. So I'm going to come up to the one that's closest to Shrosk first.
Okay.
And I rolled a 3.
Yep, basically.
The dice giveth and the dice taketh away. However, you know what? I should have done this earlier. Lisa, I'm giving you a hero coin for going invisible.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to spend it now, you can, because technically you've had it since your last turn.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
bye coin.
I rolled an 8.
Do you have anything that adds to the roll? Because you only need one more. No, you added it to 12. Oh gosh.
Started it.
Oh gosh. Well, in that case, everyone please roll a dex check because the counter's done.
Jesus. Pardon me. Well, the solar
14.
flare kills me outright. Okay.
No, it only does 1 damage. You said you had 2 left.
I had 2 left.
All right. It's going to be 3 rounds at this
For
point.
those temporaries you gave me earlier, I would already be dead.
Yeah. Should I understand that all 3 of you failed that one?
I got a 14.
Okay. So Shrosk is at 1. Does anyone have bandages or anything that can heal Shrosk?
I have a Zurin symbiote that enhances my empathy, and I don't die on me man are always easy.
Okay. Understood. So that means if Shrosk goes down, you can stabilize him by rolling an intelligence or wisdom roll.
Okay.
So it stops the dying timer.
Okay.
It doesn't actually heal them.
Okay. I have a 2 on my wisdom, so I can use wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom. Yeah. Also, I'm reading about recovery. At any time during play, Mia, you may want to know this. You may sacrifice your turn to pause, take a breath, and recover. Doing that, you roll d20 plus your con, and if you meet or beat the current target, then you can get hit points back.
I think that's what I'll have to do this round, since I am in dire need.
You may have to do that next round because you're probably about to die.
Well, am I rolling for the thing, or is that next turn?
What the solar flare?
No,
Don't die on me.
Don't die on me.
No, it's not your turn right now.
Okay.
It is my turn. That's what the solar flare roll was about, and now the reptoids are going. 2 of them are still attacking Shrosk. Oddly enough, the first one misses.
DM Scotty gave me karma. Yes.
Well, you know what? You must have spent it immediately because they both missed you.
Dear Lord, Scotty, the blessing of the Craft Father is upon me.
The blessing of the Craft Father. Gunfighter, the other one is going to attack you. Nobody's attacking Alienate because they can't see him. So that's a hit on Gunfighter.
That was versus, I think, 13.
I rolled an 18.
Okay, yeah, that gets me.
And you've got 9 damage from it.
Ow!
Well, there goes the rest of that heart.
Excuse me.
All right. Boy, this is a rough one for you guys.
Yeah.
The dice are unkind.
It's designed to be rough, right?
I mean, maybe. I feel like it'd be going a lot better if not for certain dice rolls.
Certain dice rolls.
Yeah.
Okay, Shrosk, it's you're up, and you can do that recover action now if you'd like. But it means no attack this round. Con roll.
Yep. On to the next person, please. I'm trying to recover, but I am so no. I rolled a 2 on the dice.
Oh boy. Gunfighter.
Dice jail.
Well, Gunfighter is gonna he's got his hackles all up and he's kind of circling around this mutant reptoid, and he leaps in with his claws and probably beefs it, but oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. 7.
This might turn out to be one of the shorter games of Tales from the Backlog.
I was just about to say that.
Well, I feel like we didn't really bring a really well optimized combat party to this game.
You all had normal starting gear.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm a
I
mechanic.
invested all into decks with melee weapons.
Alienate, you're up.
Okay. Don't die on me, man!
Nobody's unconscious.
Oh, I thought she was unconscious. Here, he was unconscious. Okay, so all right. In that case, the one that was damaged, I'm gonna try to shank him again.
Okay.
It's a 10.
Do you remember before the game when you asked me if we were rolling digital dice or if I'd just trust you? You guys definitely would have lied to me by now if you were going to. So this is why I trust my players. All right.
This is so not sexy.
Reptoid is going for Shrosk. Hits. You are out, my friend.
Okay.
The other Reptoid will then turn and run after Gunfighter. I'm sorry, bud. That's a crit.
Oh my god!
This Reptoid is just extra frenzied and mad because Shrosk is no longer alive to kill. However, even with the crit, it's only 11 damage, making you unconscious. Dead? Yeah. The third Reptoid cannot do anything because Alienate is invisible. Gunfighter and Shrosk are out. After looking around for a brief moment, they all three wander back into the bridge and close the door. You three are alone in the hallway, two of you unconscious. Shrosk, I should have had you do this before. Please roll a d4, and Gunfighter, you roll a d4 as well. This is how many rounds you have before you're dead.
I actually rolled a 4.
Excellent.
Finally a roll.
Yeah, well, I rolled a 1.
Oh my god. Okay.
All right. I am grabbing a couple of d4s. The pink one will be Shrosk, and the blue one will be Pointless. But I don't have them set up on the screen, but I'm tracking your rounds down here with these d4s. Shrosk, that is your turn. Now, is there any sort of death save that you make in this game? I think there's not.
Yeah, it says on your next turn, you drop to 0, roll a d4. Pray you high roll because of that many rounds. Yeah, so that's all I got.
Yeah, so you're just waiting for the next round. You're now down to 3 rounds.
Yeah, it says it's a miracle on each of your turns while you're dying. You get a very narrow chance to miraculously regain consciousness. Roll a d20. If it's a nat 20, then you awake with 1 hit point.
Great. I do remember that now. Yeah, go ahead and roll that.
Well, that's an 8 on the dice.
All right.
So counting down myself, 3 rounds. Okay.
Yeah.
This is great.
Okay, so this is a total cheese, just so you know. Before I say the total cheese, Gunfighter, go ahead and roll a d20, please.
Come on, 5%, 5%, 5%.
Yeah.
4.
Okay. So I'm gonna, Jason, I'm gonna give you this option. There's an optional rule about death timers in the book. We can have a static death timer where instead of rolling a d4, you just take 3 rounds every time. What this would do is it would give you 2 more turns to live, and it would take one away from Shrosk because Shrosk rolled a 4. Or you can just be dead right now.
Shrosk, you okay? Or Mia, are you okay with me a couple more turns to try
absolutely. And I only lose 1, so yeah, you know, it balances out nicely.
I'd really appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. So if this were a longer game, more than like 1 session just to try out the system, you'd be dead right now. But that would suck. That would suck right now. So combat being over, Alienate, you have 2 rounds to save each of your companions.
Okay. I run over to the cat and pick it up and cradle it in my arms and say, "Don't die on me, man!" And I put my lips to his lips to give it to mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and slip him a little tongue at the same time.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. I know you guys are weird about your cats, but... okay, you are going to roll either intelligence or wisdom.
Wisdom.
Here. Come here.
That's a nat 1.
You're kidding.
Dead.
Oh my god. It's just...
Meanwhile, also, the countdown timer goes down by 1.
Oh no!
Shrosk, you have a hero coin from voluntarily giving up a round of your whole life.
Okay.
Why don't you roll your save? See if you hit that nat 20.
Good lord. 17.
I believe you still continue to die. Gunfighter, you could re-roll it, or you could save your re-roll for next time, just in case.
Yeah, I'll save it for my last attempt.
Yeah. Gunfighter, it is your turn.
6.
Cool.
From beyond the grave.
Not quite beyond it. Just kind of at it.
1 paw in the grave.
All right, see if you can make him not die on you.
No, sweet, sexy little cat.
Oh wait, before you roll,
Yes.
so it doesn't
Yes.
become cheese.
Yes.
With the reptoids having left, you are still back in the first room again. So this room's difficulty is not 12; it's 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
I rolled a 12.
Gunfighter is stabilized.
Woo!
What does that mean?
It means you are no longer dying, and you can spend your next turn trying to get heals.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
However, I believe Gunfighter still counts as unconscious, and so does Shrosk. Alienate, you need to roll a dex check for the solar flare, which has just hit 0 on the countdown.
All right. Listen to me. Good.
Jeez.
But at least the difficulty on it went down.
Well, I'm glad it did because I rolled a 3 with my.
God, this has been a bad dice night.
Yeah.
That's a point of damage to you, Alienate.
Okay.
Shrosk, this is your last attempt, unless you spend that coin. Try and wake yourself up.
Okay, well, I'm going to spend the coin and re-roll.
Cool.
Would you believe I rolled a nat 1 on that?
Fuck's sake.
All right.
I had a 5 on the initial roll. Good Lord.
Shrosk is fully dead.
Fully
we
dead.
are going to take our 10-minute break right now. Mia, if you would like to roll up a new character, if you can do that in 10 minutes, I don't know. I give you the option of playing a Torton character who is already stranded on this ship.
Okay.
This is a race presented, I believe, in the adventure text. So if you want to do that,
they're from the fantasy set.
well, they're presented. Oh, they're in the fantasy set. Great. So yeah, you can be a Torton if you would like, or you can be any of the other warp shell races. But for now, we are going to take our break, and we'll come back. We'll give a couple extra minutes here. I have 9:57 here in California, so we'll be back around 10:10, and we'll see everyone then, when hopefully the dice gods are no longer angry.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Who knows what you guys did to piss them off? So I gave you extra hearts and everything. All right. We'll see you guys then.
Okay.
Welcome back. We have had our short rest and returned to the Red Sword, where Shrosk has unfortunately bitten the dust. In fact, let's take that thing off of there that says Shrosk on it.
It's now, yeah, Doran, Dorin, Doran.
Doran, okay. See if I can even edit it, because I'm having some memory issues with Acrobat.
See, and now Lisa's playing Kilroy.
Yeah.
There she goes.
She fixed it. So while we are updating Mia's name tag, we can also address the situation with a gunfighter who is unconscious. I'm going to say, time no longer being an immediate factor, that your companion Alienate is able to heal you using non-magical means. So go ahead and roll 1d6 healing.
Is she supposed to roll that, or am I supposed to roll that?
Either way.
Go ahead. I'm
Hey,
not
Alienate,
doing well.
you should roll that.
I should roll that. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Really? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Did you say that? Is this a wisdom roll?
No, it's a D6 roll.
It's D6, and you're going to add your con, gunfighter, if you have any.
6.
Oh.
Yeah. And I've got a con of 1, so that's bringing me back up to 7.
Yep.
Okay.
Mia, can you spell that new character name for me, please?
Dorin.
You got it.
Thank you.
So, Alienate, as you heal Gunfighter, a injured and exhausted, visibly Torton staggers out of a hidden compartment in the corridor. But before we get to what Doran says, Gunfighter and Alienate, why don't you tell us what your milestone rewards are that you have chosen?
So Gunfighter has gone with a more support ability. He has an emitter core, which directs healing energy as an area effect in a near radius, which I am skinning as it's his purr. His purr is healing energy. I'd
like to mitigate that a little bit. Say you activate it with with your per.
Well, yeah.
The thing about
like,
this game is progression works with gear. Your character doesn't actually gain new magic powers. You just find shit and add it to your collection. So you actually find an emitter core.
Okay, I am perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, and the benefit or the intention of doing it that way in this game is that I can also take away your rewards later. But alienate. What have you chosen?
I have chosen Siphon, which any psionic attack, like with my psionic knives, will heal me the same amount of damage that I do to another creature.
Oh, fantastic.
Nice.
Okay, so we've got 2 healing abilities on the table now. I wonder what lesson we have learned from the first half of the session. Cool. So we're going to say that the time that it took for Gunfighter to be healed, for you guys to find that stuff, for Doran to stagger out of that hidden compartment, all of that was 1 round. So I'm going to lower the countdown timer. And then we will start play again with Doran. What do you have to say to these strange people? Well, this strange Zill and a cat.
Yeah. I look down upon the dead body lying there on the floor. I'm like, this was your companion? I am sorry to see he has died. How may I assist you? And I heft my pulse rifle up. It's like, my apologies for not joining the fight sooner. I was incapacitated.
Yep. Same.
So Doran, as you have been on this ship for a while, you know some information that your companions have not yet discovered, which is that the mutant reptoids on the ship are the former crew of the ship, which that may have been obvious. But before they mutated and lost control of themselves and went berserk, what they were trying to do was use their ship as a ballistic missile to destroy the Dark Star. These reptoids were trying to do something good, pirates though they were. They wanted to spare the galaxy the emanations of this pure evil plasma sphere in the sky. So they had an explosive payload rigged up and the engines ready to fire, but something happened and they weren't able to get the ship to go before they lost control of themselves and the ship lost power.
Our pirate crew of reptoids had plotted a method to destroy the star. Maybe we should fulfill their mission.
I was going to explain that.
Is this the first time Gunfighter has spoken?
Meow.
My universal translator is not working. So yeah.
For the sake of gameplay, I will say that Gunfighter is in fact intelligible to other creatures.
Yeah. I've been pretty laconic.
So Gunfighter, we are going back in turn order again. So Doran has stepped out and said all this. What will you do?
That confirms everything I found out while I was on the bridge. Doran, you say? Do you know anything about the areas opposite the bridge? I feel like we're gonna have to restart the engines, which are opposite the bridge. but there is a dead man switch on the bridge to get those, to navigate the ship into the Dark Star. Meow.
I assume maybe there is a piloting station in the aft section of the ship, but you said
Well, what
triggers on
Gunfighter
the
saw,
bridge.
yeah, what Gunfighter saw is that the course is already set. The ship does not need to be piloted; it needs to be powered.
Yeah. So we should probably head downwards into the aft section of the Red Sword. Is there any way we can get... I'm assuming I can't get that door open?
The bridge door or the door
No,
to the aft?
the door going aft.
Yeah, that door will open fairly easily if you guys want to. So it is Alienate's turn. Would you like to head aft? You're visible again, the previous encounter being over.
Well, first, give us a brief understanding of what we're seeing when we're looking at Doran. What's Doran's race, and besides having a rail? Did you say a rail gun?
Use a Torton, like a Tortel. He stands large and bulky. Yeah, Ninja Turtle.
Okay.
He's wearing.
They're like aliens from Laser Blast.
Yeah, he's got a vibroblade on his belt, pulse rifle in hand, and he's wearing link armor. And so he is eyeballing your dead companion, preparing to loot its loot.
Okay. Well, Alienate is extremely happy to see you because we were in dire straits, and says to you, Jaren, I want to make a lampshade out of your skin because you light up my life. Thank you for joining us.
Everyone takes a point of psychic damage for hearing that.
Like, thank you, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, let's make our way to, like the pussy said.
Okay. So you are heading to the aft. Where did I put that button? There it is.
Yeah, so can I steal the loot off of the dead body?
As long as they don't stop you, I see no reason not to. Yep. Countdown time.
Very interested in the grenade belt. Okay.
Okay. Yes, you may have the grenade belt.
How many grenades are on there? There's 4, right?
How many grenades?
6.
I mean, didn't you throw one? Oh wait, no, you didn't. Never mind.
No, I had planned on it. Yeah, but
right. Never mind.
They had planned on it, but they died.
Right.
Okay, so you guys open up that door to the aft corridor. Go ahead and roll a d20 to tell me what you... Who opened the door? Was it Alienate?
No.
Yes.
Was. Okay, I was.
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead and roll a d20, please.
Oh. Really? Here. Sorry about that. Against what ability, or just a d20?
Just a straight d20.
11.
Okay, so yeah, as you open this corridor, you see lying in the middle of the floor a discarded blast rifle. It is out of ammunition, lying amidst a huge pile of spent shells. There are blast holes in every direction all throughout this huge cavernous section of corridor. The rifle is useless. It is spent and damaged, but it is clear that a battle took place here. So you have 3 doors here, one port, one starboard, one aft, and of course the one you came from. So Doran, your turn.
Would I have had an opportunity to search those other rooms prior, or did I get stuck in that last corridor?
You would have gotten stuck in the corridor, you think. You've been here so long that your memory of the layout's a little fuzzy.
A little fuzzy. That's like a double door on the, I guess, the right side.
I guess just use none of them are double doors. They're all regular doors, hatch doors, like you've been going through.
Okay, so if I'm facing aft, the door that leads towards the docking bay side of the ship.
You want to go there?
Aft, that would be right. Yeah.
Okay. I believe that is. You're going to open that one?
Yes. Kind of wedge it aside.
You open the door and you have the medical module here. This is basically the ship's sick bay. You see like a few medical beds, cabinets full of supplies, bandages, and so forth. And lurking in the shadows in the far corner near where that red plus sign is, that corner, there is a large hulking enemy. Let me bring it up. I better move this back over here. And boom. This thing is formerly a reptoid. It's got a little knife in its tentacle there, which you can't see through the ship.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Formerly a reptoid, it seems to have mutated and grown to ridiculous proportions. It is absorbing pieces of technology from the med bay here into its form, and it would very much like you to die. Unfortunately for it, it's not its turn, but I will let you know now, this is you can tell by looking, this is a 4-heart enemy.
Okay.
Unlike the 4 hearts worth of enemies you fought previously, it only gets 1 turn.
But still, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say it's Gunfighter's turn.
Well, catching a whiff of whatever the fuck that thing is, yeah. Gunfighter wants nothing to do with that thing. But uncharacteristically, he wants to look around, and is there any, like, signage around this ship?
It is...
Like, are these
yes.
doors marked?
They are marked in, like, a reptoid language, which your friend Shrusk would have been able to read, maybe, but they're so damaged and shot up by the various combats that have been going on in here that some of them are hard to read. You are not able to interpret them. I will also specify this gargantuan reptoid monster that you have seen. It is not currently attacking you. It has spotted you, but it is not making hostile action at this time.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere fucking near that thing. fuck that thing. I'm just also worried about going deeper in while we're still here. Oh,
I should have updated the target number when we came in this room.
yeah.
This room is going to be a 13.
So both the other two doors are just completely closed, right?
Correct.
Oh god, this is fucking stupid. I'm gonna try and I want to blip through that door going further aft.
Okay, towards the engines.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is indeed what you can see. Once you're in that little hallway there, you can see you are indeed going to 2 engine rooms.
Are those engines?
Those are little drawings of exhaust coming out of an engine, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, when you leave the medical module and head to the ion engines, you see that there are controls here for overpowering these engines. The power source of the ship is still here. Power to the rest of the ship has been turned off, but it is not out of juice.
Yeah.
If you power it on, you'll have seconds to get off the ship and back to your warp shell before this thing goes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if we had some kind of mechanic, they could have rigged it up.
Maybe. Actually, no. Specified in the text for this adventure, this can only be done manually.
You specifically got me to take this milestone ability too. You pushed me.
I didn't push you. I just pointed out your circumstances. I just pointed out your circumstances. I specifically said you are free to do the stupid thing.
I should have done the stupid thing. Yeah, is there, I mean, do I have any real other things I can do on my turn?
I mean, you've kind of already moved a far distance, so not really.
Yeah.
But to be clear, even if you had taken that mechanic ability, it wouldn't have changed the fact that these engines have to be overpowered manually, and you would still have to get out fast.
Yeah.
Alienate, you're up.
Okay. Alienate is going to use her his infiltrator ability again and go invisible.
Okay.
Does infiltrate alienate? Geez, Louise. Does alienate see anything in that medical lab that would be beneficial to the party for injuries or healing or anything like that?
I'm gonna say, please roll me. This is not from this system, but I'm just gonna say roll a luck dice. Excuse me, roll a straight luck check. Roll 1d20. The higher, the better.
Straight 16.
Okay, you find 2 emergency healing shots. These will do energy healing, so they're single use, and they will do 1d10 plus the target's con in healing points.
So I would like to. Are they near me, or are they near the huge hulking icky thing?
It cannot detect you when you're invisible, so they're in the middle of the room, but you can easily go get them.
I will get them.
Okay.
And then I back out of the room.
Cool.
Kind of
This
whispering at Doran, I'm out. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. And this thing watches you come in or not, doesn't watch you, but it watches Doran at the doorway as you come in and get. But it doesn't move to attack Doran. Doran, you see that tentacle that's holding that machete there, it could reach you. It could reach you where you're standing, but it's not. It's not attacking you.
It seems like a bit of a big threat. So if it's not attacking, I'm tempted to throw a grenade in there, but I'll back up and I'll close the door. Is there any way to like seal the door from the outside with like a lock or a?
Do you have any tools that would help you do something like that? I know you just slapped this character together.
The corpse has a has a welding bit, a cutting torch, so to speak.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's 1 heart of effort to weld this door shut, and it starts with a dex check.
Okay, quick dex check. Just target 13.
Correct.
That's an 11 total.
All right. Well, you start welding and realize that this isn't your welding torch, and you don't really know how it works. And at least for this first attempt, you can't get the thing lit. Gunfighter, you're in the engine room.
So just, I'm trying to work out, like, for me specifically, Jason as a player, if I turn these engines on, then I need to go back to the bridge, hit the switch to go, hey, get moving, and then get back to the warp shell.
Incorrect. What you can do here is set the engines to overload to triple their normal capacity. Once they hit that number, the ship will go. You don't have to go to the bridge.
Go on its own. Okay.
Correct. Because that's what you saw when you were in the bridge, that the nav coordinates are already set. And mechanically what this means is, if you do this thing, I roll a d4, I re-roll if it's a 1, but that's how many rounds you guys have to GTFO.
Just GTFOH.
Yep.
What do I need to do to turn these engines on?
There is... You know what? It's a big industrial light switch lever. No, that's bad. I'll say it's 10 hearts of effort with an int roll to get this done. With an int check against, we're going to keep the target at 13, even though you guys are out of the medical module. That creature's still in there, it knows you're here. We're going to keep the target at 13. An int check on these engines, and any one of you can do this when you get there. If you hit, then it's 1 heart of effort to get it going.
Okay. So I'm gonna. Do you all have comm units?
We'll say that you. I mean, yeah, we'll say you guys do.
Okay. I know I do because my vac suit says it does. Or no, it's my vac suit.
Yeah.
So, hey, which one of you is better at doing mechanical things? You should come help me. The other one should go get that door open, and the docking bay door open. Because once we turn this thing on, we're gonna need to hustle out of here.
Meow.
Sounds like a plan. Alienate, you are up.
Okay. Alienate replies with, "Oh, that's a really sexy idea. Okay. Well, I can move really fast. Plus, I'm a navigator, so I kind of understand mechanics a little. I think I can figure it out. If you guys go open that door, I can flip that switch, and then I can book it out using my jump pack."
All right, we're splitting the party then. Before we do, everyone roll a dex check.
Over here.
Yeah, Alienate, are you going down to the engine room?
Well, I mean, Doran
you
was
said
right
you
there
would.
when I was saying.
Yeah. So you're down. You went down there. Okay. I'm gonna re-roll the thingy. Where did my D4 go?
I mean, Doran was standing right next to me when I said that, so he would have heard.
Great.
Yeah, I heard that.
And I got a 13.
13. You pass the dex check. Alienate. You pass the dex check.
No.
Okay, take
Me
a point
neither.
of damage. And Doran, did you pass?
I did not.
Okay, so you also take a point of damage as the solar flare slams into the ship, warping your bodies and souls. And we are resetting that counter for 4. So Doran, Alienate has indicated that he wants to go down to the engines and try and do that thing. Are you going to follow the plan and go up to the docking bay, or do you have something else in mind?
I'm still concerned that this monstrosity will come after us. I'm gonna still try and like weld that door one last time.
Okay. That's
Jeez.
Dex against 13.
Aha! Finally, a roll. 17.
Great. I was about to say that having failed a previous attempt would make this easy, but you didn't need it. Which, by the way, that's a great thing about this system. If you try something and it doesn't work and you try it again, it gets easy. Because that's how trying things works. Yeah, so roll. You're using tools, so I think that we just said this earlier. I think that's D8.
6.
D6
D6,
if you're using
yeah.
tools.
Yeah.
Oh, D8 if you're using a gun. That's what it is. So roll D6. You do have a hero coin, which I gave to you earlier because because you died. But
A 4. I have 4 total
4 total. All right.
for tool use.
Okay, so that's 6 more points of effort required there. Gunfighter, you have delivered the plan to your comrades. They each have a job right now. What are you going to do?
I'm going to try and kick this thing off, and I'm going to just start smacking at that control panel with my paws.
You got
attempting to get it started.
That'll be intelligence.
This is 13, right?
Correct.
Alrighty. 15.
Okay, you do it. So
that's a D4, right?
that is going to be a D4, yes.
Nope. Yep, there we go. Give me a sec. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Where did it go? Oh, there it went. Found it.
Like
I
I
found it.
stepped on it, right? Okay.
And I got a 1.
Okay, 9 more points of effort required there. Alienate, it is your turn. You may attempt to do the same thing Gunfighter is doing. Think of this just like attacking an enemy. You can both make the attempt, and if you get the target, then you spend effort, just like dealing damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here I go.
Alienate steps up. We're both typing away at that keyboard.
Yep.
I rolled a 18.
18. All right. Roll some effort. It's a D4 unless you have a tool for this, which I don't think you do.
I do not. And I got a 1.
Are you serious?
God, I swear.
The dice are back on their bullshit tonight.
Yep.
They laid off you guys for a little bit in the middle there, but they're
Yep.
just fully
Yep.
back. All right. Countdown goes down. The next solar flare draws ever closer. Doran, you're up.
The door is not sealed yet, correct?
Correct. You have done 4 out of 10 points of effort.
Okay, well, I will keep at that then.
So your dex check will now be easy.
Thank goodness for that. That's still not. That still didn't make it though.
Oh, really? You didn't make 10?
I rolled an 8 total.
Okay.
I think I'll burn that hero dice. How about that? No.
Oh, go for it. No, you don't want to? Okay.
Let's try one more. Oh. That was a waste.
Well, still going.
Dice, like you said, are back to the BS.
Yeah, Gunfighter, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna like you got one cat and one liquid metal thing just clocking away at this keyboard, trying to overload this engine.
It's the weirdest thing. If I walked past and
It
saw
is-
it, I'd start walking faster.
It would be even goofier looking than that episode of NCIS.
Okay.
But I have contributed nothing this turn.
Okay. Alienate, you're up.
Alienate says, this totally reminds me of this hacker I dated once. She was hot. And I rolled a 12.
That does not make it. You guys clack away at the computer and do not get this thing to fire up.
Miss.
You do, however, waste some time, causing the countdown timer to go down. Doran.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Lisa, did you roll a 12?
No, I rolled an 11.
Ah. Okay.
All right, Doran, it's your turn.
I'm going to give up on that door and go and like peek in on what they're doing. It's like, how's it coming along down there? In my turtle voice, how is it coming along down there? Torton.
You guys can answer him.
Gunfighter hisses back. Poorly. Is the docking bay door open?
I will ensure that they are and go back towards those doors then to open them ahead of their escape.
Okay. You can make it as far, since you already went aft to talk to them, I'll say you make it as far as the next doorway to the center corridor. And so that's where we'll leave you. Gunfighter, you're up.
Come on. Do bad. Yeah, we did terrible. 5.
Jesus. Pardon me. Shouldn't say
Yep.
that either.
Ship blows up, you're all dead. Alienate,
Awesome.
your turn.
19!
Yes. Roll effort.
What?
You guys, I mean, you don't know how Reptoid ships work. This isn't even fair,
No.
honestly.
We'll get there eventually.
The fact that a liquid metal robo alien and a cat are making progress on this at all is amazing.
Basically.
Yeah. However, that doesn't stop the timer from going down.
Nope.
Doran, you are able to make it to that next doorway back to the docking bay, and you may attempt to roll strength to get it open.
That one was jammed, true. Stole a 13 target?
Yes. We're going to leave it at 13, even though you're all in different rooms.
Wow. I rolled a 2 on the dice, so nope.
Son of a biscuit. All right, Gunfighter, you're up.
Telling you. What the hell?
Yeah, Gunfighter's getting really frustrated with this keyboard. I got an 8.
Oh my gosh. Alienate.
8.
Everyone roll dex as a solar flare slams into the ship yet again.
And that's a fail on my end. I rolled a 2
Okay.
again.
I got an 11.
Lisa, you pass?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I did. Sorry, I said 18.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
Gunfighter and Doran each take a point of damage. Don't forget, Alienate has those 2 healing things. But it is... Oh, I'm going to re-roll that timer. The one thing that you guys have going for you is I keep rolling 4s for that timer. And even though the text says that I can make things more intense for you by doing extra damage when I roll 4s on that, I have chosen not to make things more intense for you guys.
They're
Because
already
holy shit. Exactly.
This is making it intense plenty on its own.
Yes. I was in there at the break telling Sarah how Gunfighter was going to die, but then Jason traded Shrosk's life for his own. Which really did not play out how I expected. I thought they're both going to get back up because Alienate will bring Gunfighter up and then Gunfighter will go. No, that's not what happened.
No.
No.
All right, Doran, you're up.
All right, we're going to crank at that door again.
It's now easy.
Aha, finally. A 14 on the dice plus 3, so 17
Great.
total.
Roll effort.
That's basic effort.
Yes, this has 1 heart required to open the door.
There is a 2.
Okay. You've taken it down to 8. Gunfighter, you're up. See what you can do.
Nothing.
Alienate.
I rolled an 8.
Are you guys serious?
Yes.
Just round
Do
and
you have
round
like
we
a
go.
dice
Good
jail
lord.
we can make use of?
You know what? I'm gonna switch up my die.
I will too.
I pulled out 2 new ones, and it so far.
I mean, this one's been like super hit or like the one I've been using's been incredibly hit or miss all night. But hey, let's see what this one does when it gets back to me.
Okay.
My yellow and black inspired dice that I bought, Anyway.
You're up,
Nope.
Doran.
Gracious. All right, so we crank on the door one more time.
Yeah,
Just keep working at it.
probably more
Still
than one more
easy.
time. Yeah.
Well, I spoke too soon. Wait, that is a 9 plus 3. So yeah, a 12.
Great. You got it. So roll effort on that.
3.
Okay. It's down to 5.
So turning this engine on doesn't get easy though.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, okay.
It's been easy for the past few rounds.
I mean, not that would have changed literally anything for me.
Yeah. I thought I said
And
so.
it continues not to.
But it continues to not change anything. All right. Alienate. You're up.
This is embarrassing, y'all. Come on.
9 or better. 9 or better.
I rolled a 6.
Oh, gosh. I'm just going to leave this timer countdown window thing open. So apparently I'm the only one doing anything in this game. Doran, go.
I've successfully
Doran's
cranked on the
actually
door a
managed
couple
to
times.
Get that door open.
That's true, yeah. He's Doran, male or female or what?
Indistinguishable, yeah.
Well, all right. Well, they've been cranking on that door. It's got it a little bit open.
I just rolled a nat 20. For
Woo!
finally
Okay, so
dropped a big
then
one.
roll D4 and D12 for ultimate effort.
Where's my 12? Where's my 12? There it is. A 9 on the 12-sided and a 1, so 10 total.
All right, you doubled what was necessary. The door, you shove it open. You guys now have a clear path back to your precious warp shell. What was the name? Was it Seraph?
Sarah.
Seraph. All right. Good job, Gunfighter. You can also do a good job. I believe you can do hard
17.
things. Yes.
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 And I got a 4.
Yeah.
Okay, it's down to 3 effort required to start these engines. Alienate, can you provide that 3 effort?
Let's
Bring
see.
it home, baby.
I rolled a 2.
Okay.
Wah, wah, wah.
Doran, you up there by the docking bay as you have just opened this door, and the other door in the corridor is already open, the one heading forward. You can hear as the bridge door opens again.
Oh, lovely.
Louise.
Can I quickly scuttle over there and toss that bandolier of grenades in there and close the door?
Yeah, you can do that, actually. And when you get to that doorway and look in, you see that the 3 reptoid mutants that were up there have crawled almost all the way to the door that you are standing at. So go ahead and throw your grenades in and close that door. How do the grenades work? What's the damage there?
They can explode on impact. Let me read that whole bit. Ion grenades, 6 explosives. I'm only going to throw a few, like 3 of them in there.
Okay.
Can work on a D4 fuse or set to explode on impact.
Okay.
Ultimate damage in near radius, so it will blow up that whole section, I guess. At least everything in it.
Go for it.
And here's the toss of the grenades. Come on, dice, cooperate. That is a 13-14.
All right, so if it explodes on impact, you don't have time to close that door. So you need to roll the D4 to see how many rounds before they blow up. Or is it rounds or turns?
They're going to blow up on impact. So.
If they blow up on impact, you'll be standing there in the open door.
Yeah. As I throw them, I kind of turn to the side because I am wearing some armor. So.
Okay, I'll give you a dex check to see if you can move out of the way well enough to avoid the blast.
14, 15.
You do it. Yeah. So roll that damage.
And that was ultimate damage and 3 grenades. So let's see. Well, that's 1, 11, and 3, so 14.
Cool. Mutant reptoid parts come flying out in a blast of fire into the corridor you're in. There are entrails, guts, teeth, for some reason like a wiggling tail, and they're gone. However, the noise of it is ringing in your ears and sounds throughout the entire ship. Alienate and Gunfighter, you hear the sounds of that gargantuan creature banging against the door of the medical module, trying to get through the weld that was not fully completed. Gunfighter, you're up.
Yeah, let's see if we can just get this thing done. Nope.
Alienate, you're up.
2 is not going to cover it.
I am gonna say that Doran for the grenades got a hero coin and can gift it to Alienate for a reroll.
Go for it.
All
Please.
right. 12.
Thank you, Steve.
12, you got it.
I got it.
because
I
it's
thought
easy.
we had 13.
It's
No, we're
13,
easy.
10.
but it's easy,
Right,
so
right.
it's really not.
Okay.
It's really 10.
All right. And 2.
1 point of effort left. Everyone rolled dex. As a solar flare hits the ship.
Nope, that's a failure on my end.
Ooh. Natural 20.
Woo!
Excellent work.
God, I could have
11.
used that my last roll.
11. Okay, so you fail. Doran and Alienate fail and take a point of damage each. Gunfighter manages to cat his way out of it. The doorway, I'm going to roll to see if he breaks that doorway down. That landed cocked. Yeah. He's going to take it. Let me see. Let me double check what his strength is. Okay. Yeah, he in a single push, this gargantuan reptoid creature rips that half-assed weld you did completely open and knocks the door off the wall. And Alienate and Gunfighter, you see this thing come barreling across the corridor and just slam into the opposite wall as though it was unable to stop until it hit something. It cannot do anything else. Oh no, it gets 2 actions per turn. It's got an energy cannon attached to it, and it's going to shoot at Alienate.
Cool.
10, it misses you.
Okay.
Doran, you're up. You have just blown up 3 mutant reptoids, and now looking down the other way, you see that gargantua trying to attack.
So yeah, I am going to move down the hall and fire with my gun using my ability MG Specialist, which is 1d4 shots.
Okay.
But let
roll
me
that
see.
D4.
3
Okay, could be good.
could be good, and let's see, ranged weapon dex plus. Jesus, I'm not going to say that out loud. Oh, for crap's sakes. I rolled a nat 1 with the pulse rifle, which means I hit another random target.
Another random target from where you are.
Yeah.
I'm going to say roll a d4. If you get another nat 1, you hit one of your allies. Otherwise, you hit the wall.
So in d4. Sorry, y'all. Jesus.
Alienate is by far the bigger target. But that's only 1 shot. So roll damage for the 1 shot.
Okay. It's a gun, so that's d8. 2.
Okay.
Okay. 2 damage on Alienate.
Damn it. Sorry. I'm having trouble not saying the swear words.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I am falling apart. It took a year to get to this point, Steve.
These belong to that guy.
So yeah, my shots are like, blow, blow, bloosh. Oh, oopsie.
Okay. So all 3 of them missed?
I guess. Since I
Well,
rolled
you-
a nat 1.
But
I need to...
don't you roll 3 separate attacks?
All right, I'll roll 3 separate attacks. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, but let's see.
That's
that
what I
is
heard you
a
say.
13 on the second shot
That hits.
and a 18 on the third shot.
Okay, so you only hit Alienate with 1 of your 3 shots.
My God. Okay. See, there is 4 and 9 total between the 2 shots that hit.
See, that's not so bad. Look at that.
I think they like me.
Oh boy. Gunfighter, you're up. One more effort on this engine.
Oh.
Okay. I mean, you could heal Alienate. You do have your healing.
Can I take that back? And I'm going to start purring up my my emitter core to direct some healing energy into a near radius.
Yes. So yourself and Alienate will benefit from that.
That's a D10.
Yes. Plus the con of everyone who gets healed.
Okay. So 4 plus con.
All right.
4 plus con.
Okay.
Okay. Alienate, you're up.
Get this. Get it done.
Wow, that like gives it a whole different meaning to warm fuzzies, man.
Yeah.
I rolled a 4.
Good gracious.
I mean, that's better than what I had rolled.
You guys just can't roll anything higher than a 4 tonight.
I am on my 3rd die.
Highest number on the die this whole engine. Okay. Yeah, so timer goes down. The Gargantua, still with his head smashed into the wall opposite the door to the medical module, is going to shoot at Alienate again. For a miss, and then lash at Gunfighter with its machete tail and miss a lot. So you guys are not the only ones with the bad dice.
I actually have a quick question about this.
Yes.
So let's say it had shot its energy weapon at me. I have an energy shield, which I'm trying to get back to quickly so I can read this easily. There we go. Which says that defense rolls against energy weapons are easy. Where does this game talk about defense rolls?
You know what? I saw it somewhere. Let me check it out. Because we haven't been doing that.
No, I assumed that like your defense was just the target number that the enemy was trying to beat.
Yeah, like an AC. That's what I have.
Yeah.
Thinking.
Read me it again. Defense rolls against energy weapons?
Yeah, defense rolls against energy weapons are easy.
Okay. Well, I'm reading a part that talks about defense rolls being basically a substitute for dexterity checks or dexterity saving throws.
Which page is that?
It's in the GM's guide. It's on page 108 in the text.
108. I'm just kind of curious, and I haven't opened looked at any of the GM stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll say this: if he ever hits you, I'll let you do a defense roll because that energy shield seems pretty specifically for that.
Yeah. Thank you. I was just really curious where that was.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I mean, this game has no index.
Yeah. Well, I think also we're using a book that is a merging of at least 2 previously published books, and it didn't. It still is kind of clear that it's 2 different books.
No index.
Yep. Where did we leave off?
I was just curious about.
Most indexes are worthless in the books anyway. They're always just.
No, I have more than one like tabletop RPG book with a solid index in it.
Well, it isn't this one.
No. Well, no, this one just doesn't have one.
Well, okay, let's see if you guys can live through this.
Yeah. Thank
Doran.
you for that digression.
No problem at all. Doran, it is your turn.
I will fire on the beastie again.
All right.
Trying that multiple shot one more time. That is a 4 on the dice. Attack 1 is a miss.
Okay.
Attack 2 is a miss. Good Lord. Attack 3 is a miss. That's 4 misses. I rolled a 3, a 4, and 2 5s.
That sure did.
That's kind of how tonight's been going.
Gunfighter.
Jeez. This
is amazing.
Jeez.
13, baby.
Woo!
The engines begin building past it. You don't have to roll effort. Only 1 was required. You can't roll a 0.
Yeah, well, I got a 4, so take that.
Maybe you could roll a 0. That's how tonight's been going. You might find a way. But you roll a 4, and you hear the engines begin to power up. I'm going to roll a d4. All right. As it happens, I rolled a 2, which is the current number on the timer. We are going to start ignoring the solar flare timer because in 2 rounds, this whole ship is shooting into that dark star.
Do I still have a move action?
You absolutely do.
Yeah. I activate my vac suit and I blip out of the ship.
Bye.
Please come get me after this is done.
A gunfighter is out. Officially escaped. You will want to get to that warp shell quick. You have any kind of rocket pack or anything, or are you just floating free?
I'm just floating free.
Okay, to clarify, the plan is to send this thing to blow up the nearby star.
Yeah.
You definitely want to be in a ship heading away quickly.
Okay, fine. Then I'm gonna run into the next. So I can run into the next room.
Yeah, you can blip through. You can definitely blip out of the ship. I'm just saying, once you're out there,
yeah, I'm just realizing that. Well, so this ship's gonna leave in like 2 turns.
Yeah, 2 rounds. Yes.
Okay. But it's not gonna take it just those 2 rounds to like detonate this star.
Correct. It's got to get to the star, and then the star's got to blow up, and then the explosion has to reach you. So yeah, it's gonna be. You have a little more than 2 turns to get into your warp shell. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh. Ruh-roh.
Oh, and you're back. Okay.
What was the last thing you heard, Lisa?
That he was.
Oh, really?
Oh,
basically.
No.
I mean, that's, yeah.
That's what I heard as well.
Okay. She's frozen.
Yeah.
She's frozen. We're going to keep moving with the Gargantua's turn, and hopefully Lisa comes back and we'll back up to her turn. So, actually, I'm not clear on what you ended up doing. Did you go out?
No, because we hadn't really.
Yeah.
No, I should stay on the ship. I'm going to just try and blip through as far as I can.
Okay.
To try and get past this technodrome-looking, skeleton-faced Ugly.
Well, Ugly has far reach with his machete tail, which is why he was able to attack you with it. And also has the gun anyway. So you can't get out of his range. but you can get to the forward end of this corridor and blip up there.
Well, yeah, I figured I could get as far as it felt like I could, and then try and blip as far as I could beyond that.
You're still on the same turn that you started up the engines on, so you've taken an action, which means you get one move action. But yeah, you can. So your blip is your move.
I'm gonna try and just get into the next room, I guess.
Yeah, I mean you technically.
Too close to this thing, but I get that it's already got reach on me anyway.
Yeah, you are technically in the starting from like the Y section where the engines are. I'm saying you can get all the way to the next door between the two corridor sections, which actually is very close to the creature, but but doesn't change its ability to attack you, except that it could use a different weapon if it wanted to. Okay, so Lisa, sorry we lost you for a second there, but it was all encompassed within Jason's turn. He started the engines and ran. It's your turn.
Okay. I am using my infiltrator ability and going invisible.
Of course.
And then...
You rolled on that already?
No, I have not.
You gotta roll wisdom. Wisdom.
It's
yes.
It's
16.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. I'm invisible, and I'm going to also use my jump pack to move twice my speed. And run and scoop up the cat.
Does the cat consent to be scooped?
I think the cat's going to be kind of claws out on that. He was not expecting to be scooped up.
But Alienate maybe has met cats before.
Yeah, he's not going to claw back.
Okay.
Scooping up the cat and racing past this thing.
You successfully do so. This thing has terrible eyesight, plus you're invisible. And you actually see as you go by that it is attacking the walls in front of it. It's just completely random. I am not lowering that timer because the timer started on Jason's turn. The Reptoid, I'm just going to roll and see if its random attack, any of its random attacks hit Doran or Alienate, or Doran or Gunfighter. No. One of them is going to target Gunfighter. It's going to be the Lash, which misses. So you guys, Alienate and Gunfighter and Doran, you are all now in the middle corridor section, and you pretty much have a straight shot to get out of the ship. I'm going to assume that that's what you wish to do. So within the space of your next 3 turns, you are able to get out with 1 round remaining. As we pass Gunfighter's turn, the counter does go down to 1. You guys make it back to the Seraph, which decouples and blips away just as the explosion happens. You guys fly off. Probably that happens and the hearts all go away because that thing's on the ship when it shoots into the Dark Star. There is a massive supernova behind you as the Seraph begins to fold space and fly off out of here. Hold on, there's an image for it. There's an image for it, and I didn't import the image. Let me grab it real quick. Come on. Where's the ship escaping?
Ship's like...
Boom, there you go.
There we go.
Zipping away. Zipping away. Get rid of that map. You guys have completed the failed mission of the mutated Reptoid crew. You've destroyed a Dark Star, keeping it from either using its own pure evil power to destroy other lives, or from falling into the hands of the Reptoid government that would use it, surely, to attack all life in the galaxy. And as you zip off towards whatever harrowing adventure your warp shell has detected next, you can't help but wonder why the hell you're even on this ship. But that's it. You guys have successfully completed the mission. Thanks so much for playing this game. What do you guys think of the system?
I have one last thing to say before we close the game. Alienate is still invisible and whispers in Dorian's ear that just whispers, "Does it bother you when you get the feeling you're being watched? If so, I'll stop."
With that, having scooped up Shrosk's body, I drop it to the floor of the warp shell, and I'm like, I'd rather you didn't watch me. Thank you.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah.
I like some of it. I would prefer it to be a little less swingy, but that's some personal preference on my part. But I like the generalized difficulty tied to how deep you are into the adventure. If that's how that seemed to work.
Yeah, basically. It's as written, it's like room by room. You guys were kind of opening doors and not going into rooms, so I was tying it to that more. But yeah.
Is it just kind of set room by room, or is it set more as like the further you get into the adventure, like the higher it gets?
The mission statement of this game is it's a game for GMs that like to DIY. So they don't write these adventures tied up in a pretty package for you. I got the map.
No, but like this one.
That's what I'm saying. These numbers were my invention as we went along.
Oh, okay.
These numbers are not assigned to the rooms in the adventure.
Okay.
In fact, it's a rough outline is what these adventures are.
No, because I like the structural elements of it like that.
Yeah.
Like I like the constant clocks going. I like the difficulty by room sort of deal. Like I thought that I like that.
Yeah, I like those things as well.
Yeah, I've incorporated both those in my games in the past. Yeah.
I mean, like the general resolution mechanic not really being my thing is just that it's not like that's fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm not as into things being that swingy, pretty much explicitly for what went down tonight.
And well, when you say swingy, you mean like hack and slash.
D20.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, swingy in the sense that it's a D20 roll, and it's a D20, like a straight D20, as opposed to like a 2D6. So instead of having that curve, it's just flat probability. What are you gonna get? Who knows? As opposed to like a 2D6 roll, where like in Apocalypse world, where you've got, there's the probabilities are a little more refined. And this is not me like trying to have a jab at this game. Like this was fine.
Yeah.
I have like it's very Frostgrave or Stargrave, where like it's a part of what it is. It's fine. We just had a really unlucky run of rolls tonight.
Yeah, and I think this is designed to be a don't get attached to your characters kind of system. Not as much as Dungeon Crawl Classics, but yeah, I think
not as much as Merkborg.
No, well, yeah, I would say Dungeon Crawl Classics is much further down that path than Merkborg. But we lost 18 player characters in our funnel adventure in Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Well, yeah, none of them made it out of the funnel.
Yeah, none of them made it out of the funnel. 18 is more than we started with that died.
Yeah, I remember.
But I was going to say, this is not the first game that we have played that presents itself as D&D but easier, D&D but streamlined. And it is that. Not so much that we weren't whiffing on rules. Our setup here is we play a new game every week. We always have limited time to learn the system. Obviously, we wouldn't have had that much trouble if we were in a different situation.
Yeah. And, I mean, if I were to level real criticism here, like, this just the organization on this book could use. It's not Conan RPG levels of all over the place.
Let's be real.
But there were definitely a bunch of like moments where, I mean, like in character generation, where I'm going, where is the section I need to go to?
Yeah, I felt that.
I literally had to ask, where do I find like the warp shell life form types and types?
Yeah, and that is a function of the table of contents, because the place where they are makes perfect sense, but that's not listed in the table of contents, and like you said, there's no index. So
that's it. Just it definitely feels like it could have used a little more organizational, not panache, but just it could use a little more on making its organization clear.
Yeah, I'll buy that, and I think,
and
like I said, I think
I'm not trying to have a real jab at it over that.
Yeah,
I mean, my favorite fucking RPG drives me bonkers because it's got an index, and it's not a good index, and that one I have as a physical book, so I have a little easier time flipping through it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And all of that said, I think if we ran 2 to 3 sessions of this, we wouldn't have any questions about how it works.
I felt like
it's very simple.
Yeah, I felt like I didn't have any trouble with it. That first initial character build was like, where's everything? But when you allowed me to build Dorn, it was just like, and I was done in like 3 minutes because I knew where to go and what to look for.
So that made it like there is a lot to recommend in it, and I will not deny that at all. Like, it seems cool. Like, I'm curious about some of these other like settings.
Yeah, I really like the ghosty Western one.
The Ghost Mountain looks interesting, and I kind of want to read through Blood and Snow. Like, I'm just looking through it, and it's got a section on megafauna. I like megafauna.
All right.
I mean,
this book is actually a combination of like all 3 of these.
Yeah.
Right, and I felt that reading it. It felt like they might have done well to separate the sections more clearly, give them each their own table of contents, rather than pretending it was one book without actually rewriting or reorganizing anything. Because even within this book, I found a section in the what clearly used to be the Worlds book, talking about something it says in the core book, and I'm like, well, that's this book. It's the same book in this edition. So like the text is as though it's referencing another book, but it's actually referencing the beginning of the same book. So yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining about the amount of content I got on sale at DriveThruRPG, but the fact that it's all in one book is very good for me. But yeah, like we've said, and I think it also bears mentioning that we keep harping on the same thing because there's really not much else to complain about. I think the game is very streamlined. I
appreciate the simplification. Yeah.
I think that this is a system that is more suited for one shots, though. I don't see this working well on a in a long
I
campaign.
could see it like I mean, maybe not a long campaign, but I mean, I'm coming at that as someone who has never really gotten to be in a long campaign. So to me, long campaigns are like that thing that I'm never getting to that. So I'd much rather something be shorter or like mini. Oh, get the fuck out of there! Get out of there! Get out of there right now! Don't turn my goddamn computer off.
Yeah, I can see having to tweak this a bit to make it work for a long-term thing. Maybe punch up the hit points a bit.
Well, no, but that's you can
right
level up hit points. Like that's in there, and I think for like a mini series length game, like not like a long campaign, but like a mini campaign, like this would work fine.
Yeah.
And like I feel like this is just personal tabletop RPG philosophizing. I think you just get right up over here. Stop trying to get behind my computer.
Okay, interrupt.
I think the general community like leans on long campaigns as a baseline way too much. Mm-hmm. Like people will look at something and go, "Oh, well, you can't really play a long campaign with that." Like, okay, but I can play a mini campaign with it. And as someone who's never been able to hold a game together or be part of a game that's lasted longer than like maybe 8 sessions, that's great. That's perfect for me.
Yeah. I'd like to hear from Lisa a bit. Yeah, no problem. Any thoughts, Lisa?
As far as the system itself,
yeah,
I love how quickly you're able to put together a character, and it's still a system that allows you to create a very individual character because it has options, but it's not overwhelming. I like that a lot. The system is great for people who are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons because it does have a lot of the feel and uses the same type of rolls and dice and
stats.
Stats. Thank you. Stats is Dungeons and Dragons. But it does seem more streamlined. The thing that I was kind of missing was as a Dungeons and Dragons player, it's because it's kind of like on one side or the other, is that it doesn't give you a clear indication of what certain abilities can do. So you're kind of you're kind of grasping there, but I think, that's something that the player can work out with the DM during the game, like we did here, easily enough. I like it. I like this system. I think that it's not something that would fit a long-term campaign, but like a one-shots and short-term campaigns, I think it would be great for.
Yeah. I noticed in the book it mentions that the warp shell setting specifically is designed for one-shots. And that's really a lore thing in the warp shell world. These ships leap into danger and then leap out again, which provides a story excuse for a one-shot. Presumably, I didn't read much of the Alfheim setting because we were doing this one, but presumably it might be more suited to a campaign in that. There is a lot of thought in some of the videos of Hankering that I watched talking about the system. There is thought put into progression and how progression is done through items rather than your characters just gaining superpowers.
Right.
And I liked that in concept. Yeah, milestones, which is presented as a thing you find, and which can then be taken away by the GM or by circumstances in a later situation. And I liked that concept enough that I did kind of want to do a mini campaign at some point to see it in action. The game won me over on one thing that that I was a little iffy on at first. And that's the hearts. Hankerin talks about not wanting to do derivative stats. And that's why your abilities are just the modifier. Not like anyone who's played D&D knows you have two numbers, and one of the numbers you never use. But then also derived from the number is not just your base modifier, but also all these skills and all these other numbers that are derived from it. And in this system, he wanted to eliminate any derivative stat. He says your number is your number. You roll dex, you roll strength, into story. And to that end, I didn't understand the hearts thing, because his idea was, just give monsters hit points in blocks of 10. Because to your players, the difference between a 14 hit point monster and a 16 hit point monster doesn't fucking matter. They can't tell.
Yeah.
And I fully agree with that. He's totally right.
Yeah.
I'll probably stat all my monsters that way in the future forever. But then why do I have to say heart instead of 10 hit points? And so that was where I was coming from at the beginning. But, I like to give things a fair shake, so I went with the hearts. And I do think that it, especially towards the end when we finally had a 4-heart monster and I put the hearts up on the screen, I do feel like there's some benefit in saying that. So that you can just communicate quickly a very visual thing. I can't really defend it as eloquently as I attacked it. But I did like it by the end of the system.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. I might want to revisit this system at some point. I say that about a lot of the games, and very rarely do we do it because there's so much stuff out there to play. But yeah, this is a good one. So thank you, Hankerin, for putting this up there. Guys, go check this out on drivethrurpg.com. This is where I bought it. There are hard copies available somewhere in the world. They were all sold out everywhere when I looked to buy a hard copy. I did get hard copies of the wonderful card decks.
It's published by Modifius now.
It's published by Modifius now, yeah.
Modifius, yeah, the master edition is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is the cards that they sent me when I bought the bundle on DriveThruRPG, and these are literally just little drawings of things that you as a GM can use to just inspire you for and I did use them in planning for this session. Yeah. Like some of the things in the room, I was just drawing cards from this deck, and it was if that doesn't make any sense, I leave it on the table. If it does make sense, and actually, for a room you guys didn't go in, one of the rooms on the ship map as it presented in the adventure was blank. And because of one of these cards I'd drawn, I knew what to put in that room. So you guys didn't go there, so it didn't matter. But it was the crew quarters. Because there was no crew quarters on the ship.
See, I kind of assumed that was the crew quarters.
The room beyond it was the science bay, which was where you were supposed to find out a lot of the information that I gave you elsewhere. But the way the game was progressing, I was like, they're not going to get to all the rooms.
Yeah.
We have a comment on the chat, Steve, that they can't find the game on Tabletop RPG, and was asking if
it's not a video game.
It's not a video game. It is not on Steam. That's why I saw that, and that's why I dropped Tabletop or DriveThruRPG as the place where I bought it.
Okay.
Yeah. Sage of Keyblades campaign, or the session is over. This is the one-shot campaign here. We'll be playing Beyond the Wall next week, which is something I desperately need to read again because I don't remember what it's about at all. But I'll be running it, so I'll see you guys next week for that one. But again, I really liked this system, and I hope we can bring it back around for another go in the future. Yeah. All right, thanks guys for playing, and thank you everyone for watching. Have a great night. Come back on Friday for D&D. Come back next week for Beyond the Wall. Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.